Hey guys, welcome back to Margo Watches Movies. My name's Jake Margo. Tonight I'm going to be reviewing and recapping episode 5 of Alien Earth. And right off the bat, I just want to say I think that this is very much easily the best episode since the premiere 1 and 2 episodes of this television show. We get a flashback showing the crash, showing what happened aboard that research space vessel where Morrow was the chief security officer. We get a lot of backstory. We get some good characterization of Morrow. We flesh him out a little bit more. We get some good backstory on him. And overall, I think that this was an episode that really captured the essence, or did its best, I should say, of the original Alien movie. And this was very much Noah Hawley giving it his all, making a mini Alien film. He wrote and directed the episode. And again, overall, vibe wise, atmosphere, tension, uh, the way that, especially with what we saw in the first two episodes when they're climbing aboard the crash ship and you see all of these different former crew members dead and, uh, you know, cryo chambers burst through with blood spattered around it. You have all of this looming over this episode. So as we see the dominoes start to fall one by one by one by one, bad character choice, unfortunate circumstances that happen. And yes, there is some stupid character decisions in this, but I do think the show does a good job of establishing the crew as, for the most part, with the exception of Morrow and probably the female captain, who is more emotionally shook, where I think her dumb choices come from losing, as we learn, um, a guy that she had basically begun a relationship with. The rest of this crew were people that were very much down on their luck. They were degenerates. They were dumb. These are people that were willing to take a job that would completely deprive them of everyone they ever knew in life, a 65-year mission. So these aren't exactly the brightest bulbs in the supply closet that are on this ship. So I do think when you see these dumb character decisions, it's not like we're dealing with NASA level geniuses here. We're dealing with uh, addicts and dumb kids looking for adventure and old disgruntled repairmen and all sorts of characters in this way, where some of the dumb choices tend to make sense. Some of the human error, you have the female doctor that forgets to lock the canister that the eye monster's in, where she lets this other monster escape out of its container and contaminate her water, which then the young mechanic guy drinks and it screws him up. But I did enjoy a lot seeing, like I mentioned, each domino fall. And with that air, with that impending threat just looming over the episode, it's a very slow burn and it very methodically works its way up to kind of this crescendo where everything starts going wrong at once. Crew members are falling off. And I do think if I had to give a complaint of this episode, one, I didn't find the score music to be very compelling or really add much to like the tension and horror. It was these high strings that really didn't do a lot for me. I'm not a composer, so I don't have like good, but I just think something more guttural and and less ethereal would have worked a little better at just really honing in on the atmosphere. So that, along with once everything goes down, it just kind of happens. There's no like, I don't know, crash shot of like chaos has erupted. It's just it builds, 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 and then we're there. And I just don't. I would have just liked a little bit more emphasis on like when shit really hits the fan to really just hit. And this is a very, very minor nitpick on that regard. The score music I think is a valid complaint, but uh, I still really like the episode, and I still think that this was kind of more my expectation when we got Alien Earth. I know they tried to capture that in episode 2, which what I found to be entertaining at the least. I know some people have had issues with character decisions, namely with like Joe and his choices, but uh, claustrophobic, tight spaces with a xenomorph on your heels is kind of the bread and butter of Alien, in my opinion. Now, it was done at a much, much higher level with Ridley Scott's original. But Noah Hawley giving it his all here, swinging for the fences. And I'd say he probably hit a double. So, um, the other big aspect for this is we really flesh out Morrow in this episode. We learn he had a daughter. We learn she died very early on into the voyage. I think it was year 8 of 65 where he gets this letter. And it really kind of refines and hones in on why he acts the way he is, why he is so completely focused on this mission. He left hoping he could provide her with a better life with his pay. She ended up dying. So this has the only way that he's being able to cope with this is just filling his heart with this absolute devotion to the mission and getting these creatures home. It's why he's willing to sacrifice the female captain, as we saw at the end of the first episode, along with in this episode. And I just think it added a very nice layer to a character who is easily one of the 2 or 3 most compelling characters on the show, along with Timothy Oliphant and I suppose Wendy by default. So yeah, I really like Morrow. I think that actor's done a phenomenal job. And I do have to give shout outs as well to the character Tang, who I kind of felt like was going to be the saboteur, that because there's this whole running plot line throughout this episode where someone on the ship is sabotaging the ship. That's why their coordinates, that's why it crash landed onto Earth in the first place. They were doing, sabotaging the navigation and the fuel pumps and all sorts of things behind the scenes. And Morrow's kind of trying to figure out who it is. I thought it would be Tang just from how unnerving of a performance that actor gave. It was a really, really good performance, like way too good for the limited role. I would have honestly liked to see more of this Tang character, but seeing this unnerving guy who is just creepy beyond belief look up with the dripping xenomorph and finally lose his composure was a really, really cool shot to me. I thought that was a really well done scene. Him seeing the xenomorph above him, ready to just pulverize him, and actually finally dropping the creepy slow guy act and giving out this guttural scream of fear. And that was a really well done shot. I liked we got some more in depth to like this eye monster who seems to be a really, really intelligent creature and actually kind of kicks the xenomorph's ass. And at one point, which I thought was a little interesting, was I mentioned the female doctor who didn't latch the eye monster into its cage. And did that look weird? Okay, we'll just move past that. She didn't latch the eye creature into its cage, but before she does that, when the other creature breaks out that contaminates her water, it seems to be warning her. And I'm not really sure like what the motive of this eye creature is. Is it? I mean, I don't think it has good intentions, right? But it seems to be an adversary of the xenomorph. And as we already established in prior episodes, it's very, very intelligent. Um, so I'm kind of curious to know where that goes. I liked that little added dimension. We're like adding depth to this monster. And again, it kicked the shit out of the xenomorph, which was interesting, right? So, but all in all, pretty good episode. Actually, I enjoyed this episode quite a bit. Some minor character quibbles, but like I said, I think the show does a good job of establishing it. It's just something was just, I don't even know how to describe it, but there was just something missing that could have made this a very, very special episode of television. Partially the score music, but partially like when the climax really hits, it just felt a little flat. That really would have pushed this over the top. And I don't mind the dumb character choices in this. Part of it is the trope of the genre that we're in. Part of it is they do a good job of establishing that these aren't smart characters. And even a couple of the smart ones that make dumb choices are under great emotional distress. Like the female captain who lets her other doctor friend, the 2 doctors, die just by being weak, just a weak leader. Really weak on her part there, like letting them operate on this guy. It was just completely preposterously weak on her part, but I think it fit the character. Um, so yeah, besides that, I got the double TV backdrop. I know. Uh, it was the first week of football. I had to bring it out after I got back on a vacation. So that won't be there for future reviews, but I just didn't feel like moving it tonight. And yeah, so let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Did you think that this was a bounce back episode like I did? Again, I would say that this was the best episode since 1 and 2. I'd probably give it a 7.5 to 8, depending on how I feel. I really was engaged the whole episode. Uh, I'm just trying to be a little bit more stricter. So I'd say a 7.5. So yeah. So this is Jake Margot with Margot Watches Movies. Again, guys, if you like the review, give me a subscribe, give me a like, comment below. Let me know what your thoughts. I want to hear your theories. What are you feeling with Alien Earth? But yeah, thanks for tuning in.